This is K1DBC. All stations, please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in 5 minutes.
W0TX repeater.
Good evening, everyone here on YouTube. Thanks for joining us here on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. Really always appreciate that. W0TX.org/check-in. If you want to check in online, we're taking online check-ins. Ooh, I don't know why that's formatted like. You can just put your call sign, your name, and email address if you want, and it'll show up in this this form down here. So let's get things rolling here. This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed into net mode.
PL off.
Oh, I was muted for that. Opposite of what I wanted to be there. Sorry about that. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is K1DBC Net Control. We will begin by inviting Elmers only to check in. If you have, if you're a subject matter potentially, or if you have something to contribute and you want to check in as an Elmer with or without traffic, all Elmers, please check in now.
Alpha Alpha Zero, Juliet Kilo. Good evening with traffic.
All right, in that time we had A0JK Fred with traffic. Thank you for checking in as an Elmer. Once more, if you'd like to check in as an Elmer, we're taking all calls for Elmers with or without traffic. Please check in now. All right, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control. All other check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. The suffix is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use I2 phonetics for the call sign at least, and indicate if you have any traffic or questions as you check in. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Romeo Oscar.
Whiskey Alpha 4, Mike Bravo Golf, Bob and Aurora, no traffic.
W0TX Repeater.
A few doubles there, eh?
November 1, Golf Uniform Mike, Peter, Littleton.
I feel you all owe me a double from in and out every time there's a double. I feel like I still am owed that. I don't know. All right. I'm not going to even try to go back in the footage here. This is K1DBC Net Control. We'll go hold up there for just a minute. This is K1DBC Net Control. We had a few doubles there, it sounded like. Here's what I did get, though. We had Whiskey Alpha 4, Mike Bravo Golf, Bob, N1GUM Peter, KF0AWC Brian with traffic. I hear you in there, but very, very faintly. And then there was a few doubles and things to begin with. One thing I did hear was a Romeo Oscar. So if somebody had mentioned Romeo Oscar at the end of their traffic or end of their check-in there, go ahead.
Yep, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Juliet Romeo Oscar, Chris and Arvada.
All right, perfect. Got you that time, Chris, KF0JRO. If you had tried to call in and I didn't call your call sign, please try to call back in. Alpha through Mike, A through M, please call now.
Kilo 6 Hotel, Juliet Victor, K6H JB Tom Arvada, no traffic.
All right, that time we had K6HJV. Tom, thank you so much for checking in. Okay, we're going to open it up to the whole alphabet. This is Daron K1 DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Great place to learn about electronics, STEM, s.t.e.m, ham radio. Plenty of things here. All call suffixes A through Z. If you'd like to check in, please call now with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
Kilo Echo 0, November Romeo Echo, Jim in Littleton with traffic.
Kilo Echo 0, Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan, Lakewood.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. That time we had KE0NRO Jim with traffic, KE0SUM Jonathan, and N0TRP Jim. Thank you all so much for checking in. This is K1 DBC Net Control. We're taking all call signs, all call suffixes for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. If you'd like to check in with or without traffic, please call now with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions.
Kilo 4, Romeo, November, Yankee, Ronnie, and Thornton. No traffic.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. That time we had K4RNY. Ronnie, thank you so much for checking in. All right, well, we have quite a few bits of traffic here, it looks like. So with that, you know, this is a pretty casual net. If there's any lull in the conversation, don't hesitate to jump in if you want to check in. I'll also be taking official check-ins throughout the net. Again, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. We're live streaming video from this, so you can get some additional context from a net control perspective, as well as what we're talking about. You can check in on YouTube. You can check in online, W0TX.org/check-in if you want. All sorts of things going on here this evening. So with that, we'll throw it over to Fred, AA0JK, with traffic. The net is yours. Go ahead.
Alpha 0, Juliet Kilo, good evening. And we just got one little piece of traffic here. Happened to stumble onto a book here for those who want to program their radios with Chirp. And that's the title of the book, Programming with Chirp, and the author is Brian Schell, S-C-H-E-L-L, and it's $9 on Amazon, and if you want to go the Kindle route, it's only $5. So if any of you are interested in that, you'll find it on Amazon. And the on-the-air July-August issue is out. It's a little bit on the light side. But again, I recommend any of you that are in the market there for a new handheld that you get the RT Systems software and cable to go with that to make life a lot easier for you getting it programmed. AA0JK, back to net control.
All right, AA0JK Fred, this is K1DBC. Yeah, good mentions there. As we've talked in the past, programming your radio with a lot of channels, you really don't want to be doing that by hand in the front plate of it. Definitely not. At a pinch, you can certainly program in something, but convenience is always a factor. So as mentioned, Chirp is a free option, pretty good option to use if you're a little bit tech savvy. You just have to, a lot of this comes down to, so the other software was mentioned is RT Systems. Over on our website, W0TX.org/repeaters, I have links to both of those, Chirp and RT Systems. Chirp also has a pretty good Wikipedia for defining some of the different things you'd see in order to program your radio. Let me drop here for a moment. As I mentioned during field day, and it was definitely sad to not be able to see you there, Fred, but somebody did take me up on my offer to help program their radio, so I did that a little bit. Could have been a little bit better in what I programmed into it, but gave them everything that they needed to get into the repeaters here. Our repeater page has been updated. One of the issues that I find people have when programming their radio is the transmit frequency and offsets. Those are the same thing. If you've ever gotten confused about that, you wouldn't be the first. So you need one or the other. As mentioned, Chirp, let's see, they will take I think they'll take an offset. And RT Systems is mentioned, a lot easier to use. So, but either way, the frequency we mentioned when we're talking about our repeaters, the 145.490, all those are the receive frequency, and then everything else is the transmit frequency / offset. So I find that to be one of the key things that holds people up. So good mentions there, Fred. AA0JK. I'll have to see if I can bring up the latest on the air. What you mentioned there didn't sound like there was too much, but yeah, good mentions there. How to program Chirp, programming amateur radios with Chirp. AA0JK Fred. Good information there. I'll throw it out to the net. Anybody have any comments and questions in regards to programming your radio? Please call now.
Comment. S.t.e.m.
KE0SUM. Jonathan, go ahead.
Actually, I was a little distracted and might have missed the very first of the conversation, but yeah, I found as a technician, when I first got my license, I bought a Baofeng for $25, and I consider that a good deal, but programming. I didn't know about Chirp at the time, and hand programming one, I agree with you completely. The offset, because you had to do A channel and then B channel with the offset. Now, modern, I'm going to say Yaesus, they automatically know the offset, so you don't have to do that. The biggie for other people then is setting the right type of squelch tone, but that's just a thought. KE0SUM, back to you, Drone.
KS0JRO.
All right, thanks there, Jonathan SUM, for the follow-up there. Yeah, JR, I'll get you back here in a second here. Yeah, the tone as well. Yeah, it's interesting to see. I'd like to maybe look into how that works and how it understands the offset or the transmit frequency automatically. Or yeah, I'll have to check into that. So yeah, that's always a bugger trying to get that programmed. And just to get your radio on the repeater sometimes seems a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. But yeah, good follow up there. Yeah, JRO KF0 JRO. Chris, go ahead.
KF0JRO here. Yeah, I want to say that I now own a Baofeng and a Yaesu ST.E.M, and for programming, I much prefer the Baofeng with Chirp or with the included software that you can download for free from Yaesu's site. Yaesu, their UI, it's just trash.
All right, sounds good there, Chris. Yeah, KF0JRO. Yeah, different strokes for different folks. Sometimes, yeah, whatever your preference is. Sometimes if you have a background in Windows or Mac or Linux, you may go towards certain pieces of software or whatnot, and your different experience. So, know though that there is software out there to help you program your radio, and don't let it be too daunting. It takes a little bit of learning at first, but once you do it the first time, it's just a learning. You just keep doing it, and it's really an easy process after that. So, on our website, we have an Excel file or a spreadsheet, a CSV file that you can use to import into Chirp or any of these pieces of software. We may need to go through it because there's a lot more than a lot of these radios can hold, but there is a spreadsheet we have online that you can help to import to those software for local Denver radios. So check for that online because that may be a good jumping off point too. So this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, good information there, everyone. Yeah, good topic there, Fred. And yeah, I'm hoping anybody that we can help get their radio programmed, the better. So yeah, anyone else on that topic or anything else at the moment? There's a couple other people that had traffic, but anyone else, please call now.
Follow up, SUM.
Yeah, KZ or SUM, go ahead.
So with programming, I think it's important to know how to hand program any of your radios if you need to. And then moving up, I agree with the other caller. Yaesu's interface is not very good. Then we go to Chirp, which is good, free, and works quite nicely. And then I think Fred mentioned RT Systems. I consider the Cadillac. That's just so easy and versatile. So that was just kind of my thought there. KE0SUM, back to you.
All right, sounds good there, SUM. This is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to use any Yaesu software, but yeah, it sounds like there's some negative marks on it there. So Chirp, I know, and I'm sure RT Systems. Another awesome feature that they have is if you don't have a jumping off point like this spreadsheet, I think, I know at least Chirp, you can look up against repeater book. You can put in a zip code and it'll automatically download all of the repeaters around you. So that might be a part of the how it can auto program things there too. So Chirp or RT Systems, RT Systems if you're not so tech savvy, and Chirp if you are. And yeah, to your point there, Jonathan, absolutely. You need to know how to program your radio by hand. And once you know these terms, it actually becomes a lot easier. Once you understand the terminology, it's really just a few things. It's receive frequency, transmit frequency, and offset. And that's it. Transmit frequency is represented in a frequency or an offset. And so, excuse me, I meant receive, transmit, and transmit tone, PL tone. So 3 pieces of information. Once you realize what you need, it's actually not that difficult. So I've updated our website to give you both the offset and the transmit frequency for our repeaters, so you don't have to do the math. But it is pretty simple math to do. So with that, one other time at the moment, anyone else on the terms of programming your radios, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll bring up the website here in a bit, but a lot of updates on that in terms of our nets and repeaters and things like that. Just more links and more information, so check that out, and I'll bring it up here in a bit. So with that, we'll throw it over to KF0AWC, Brian with traffic. Go ahead. All right, AWC. Yeah, it's interesting. It's just very, 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 very quiet. It's coming in clear. It's just very, 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 very quiet. I really am not sure what might be causing that. I don't know if your mic gain, if there's anything you can adjust on that was changed, or a microphone maybe not being plugged in all the way, but it's just very, very, very quiet. I can hear you, but very, very faintly. So if you want to try adjusting, or if you want to try calling back here in a minute, go ahead. All right, fun stuff. Good evening, everyone here on YouTube. Thanks for watching here.
W0TX repeater.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. Yeah, if you want to try replugging the connections, restarting the radio, whatever it may be, I don't know. Normally you come in and just clear. So I guess I'll give you a few minutes to do that. We'll throw it over to Jim, KE0NRO with traffic. The net is yours. Go ahead.
Thanks, Daron. Thanks for taking the net tonight. Just to clarify, the suffix is November Romeo Echo, NRE. My question for tonight is trying to understand my power meter. I recently got one, an MFJ model 849, and I hooked it up to my antenna between the antenna tuner and the feed line that goes to my antenna. And I saw something that I found kind of puzzling. If I was using the monitor, the power meter, to tell me how much my amplifier was putting out, or how much was getting from my antenna tuner up to or through the feed line, I got a number that roughly matched what I was setting my transceiver power at. But if I tuned to a portion of the band where the SWR was not very close to 1, maybe closer to 3, all of a sudden the apparent power, the forward power that was being read by the meter, would greatly exceed whatever my transceiver is capable of putting out. And of course it also had some reflected power. So my question is, what should I believe in terms of the number of watts that are going out from my transceiver? Is it the forward power? Is it the forward power minus the reflected power, or is it something else? So I'll put it back to net if anybody has any ideas and can give me a hint. KE0NRE back to net.
Quick question. What was your SWR?
NRE here. The SWR was generally above 2.5, and under some conditions on some bands it went almost up to 5. Back to net.
Thank you. KE0SUM.
All right, KE0NRE. Sorry about that, and thanks for the correction, Jim. And thanks for the question there, SUM as well. So, question is, what can you trust? You have this MFJ 849 SWR watt meter, and you're normally seeing when you sing a normal SWR, you're seeing what you would expect in terms of power output on the meter. But then once you adjust the tuner so your SWR is incorrect and way too high, you're seeing a much larger output in terms of wattage to the watt meter, the external watt meter. So what can you believe there? Yeah, is it 4 power minus reflected? Good question. I don't know on that. I haven't actually watched my own watt meter to see what happens on that. So I'll throw it out to the group. Is that an expected result? Is there something going on there? Please call now.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
AA0JK, just curious, antenna and feed line. What's he using for an antenna and feed line?
NRE here. The answer is the antenna is a 40-meter off-center fed dipole, about 30 feet in the air, and the feed line is RG8X, almost 80 feet of it. Back to net.
Good question.
Is there a Balun inline?
Affirmative. There is a 4-to-1 Balun at the feed point.
Thank you.
Good question, S.t.e.m.
All right, thanks for all the information there. Yeah, KE0 S.t.e.m, go ahead.
One last piece of information. What are you resonant on?
The antenna is fundamentally resonant on 40, 20, and 10 meters, but with the help of an external tuner, I can use it on all the bands except for 80 and 160.
Another question.
Go ahead.
Do you have an external antenna tuner or just using the one in the radio?
It is an external antenna tuner. It's an LDG AT600 Pro auto tuner, and with the help of that, I'm able to tune 40 through 6 meters. Of course, the antenna is not resonant on anything but those 3 bands, 40, 20, and 10. But the SWR is within the tuning range of the tuner to be able to handle it, and I'm able to make contacts on those other bands, including the work bands. Back to net, KE0NRE.
JK.
So the one last question is, what kind of power are you using?
Answer to that is I can run up to 100 watts. That's what the transceiver will put out, plus or minus maybe 10%. Back to net.
All right, great information there. A lot of technical stuff there. Hopefully, if not tonight, we can dig through this and find something there. So AA0JK, Fred, you had another follow-up there. Go ahead.
AA0JK, yeah. Just wondering if the reflected power is coming back and causing that. But it sounds like you've got a good setup there with the off-center dipole and the LDG 600. Great tuner. But other than that, I am baffled. I would like to find out later on what you may find there. But if it's not something like reflected power, I don't have any suggestions there because it sounds like you've got everything in order. AA0JK.
W0 Fox Charlie.
W0 FFC, Jerry, got you checked in. Yeah, go ahead.
If that antenna is resonant on 40, why should it have a 3-to-1 SWR? Doesn't make sense, does it?
NRE here. No, in fact, on 40 across all the band, the SWR is considerably less than 2, and most of the time closer to 1.5. The SWR creeps up a little bit on the higher bands on 20 and 10 meters, but it's the bands in between, or on the 6-meter band, where the SWR is even greater, sometimes even greater than 4. And while the antenna tuner is able to make my transceiver happy, the S-meter of my transceiver on any of the bands I'm working on is always less than 1.2, between 1.0 and 1.2 as far as the transceiver is concerned. But I was curious about what happened on the far side of the external antenna tuner, and what sort of forward and reflected power was there, and how to interpret those numbers. Ideally, I'd like to have the reflected power 0 on any band that I work. I'd love to have resonant antennas to work those bands, but I don't. With the help of the antenna tuner, I can work them. I'm just pretty convinced that I'm not getting a whole lot of power, and certainly not what the forward power on the meter indicates going up to the antenna. So with that, back to net, KE0NRE.
W0FFC again.
All right, thanks again for the follow-up there. And W0FFC. Jerry, go ahead.
Okay, I'm not an antenna expert at all, but it would seem to me that since you don't have non-resonant antennas, at least in the bands that we're talking about, you're getting a lot of reflected power. Your meter doesn't show it on your transceiver because your antenna tuner is taking care of that, but you're getting a lot of reflected power. So I would guess you're putting out maybe 20 watts, 30 watts, and losing the rest of the power. Okay. W0 is an SUN or K0 SUN, isn't that right?
Comment.
All right, no problem there, FFC. Yeah, no, it was KE0NRE. If you have any follow-up on that, then I'll throw it over to Fred here, man.
NRE here. Yes, I do have reflected power, and my feeling is that the reflection's being caused by whatever the external tuner is doing to make my transceiver happy. It's just throwing that extra power back down the transmission line towards the antenna. And I'm pretty sure you're right. I'm pretty confident I'm getting far less than 100 watts out through the antenna itself and radiated when I'm working on those non-resonant bands. I guess the question is, if I wanted to find out how much power was actually getting out, could I make some sense of what the forward and reflected power measurements were, or is there some other way to approach that question? So I appreciate your question. It's a darn good one, FFC. I don't know the answer, and I'm looking for suggestions. So back to net, KE0NRE.
Comment, KE0SUM.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Great topic here. Yeah, bringing up a lot of conversation here. Really awesome to see and hear. I'll throw it over to Fred and then over to Jonathan. So AE0JK, Fred, go ahead.
AE0JK, just a question. Are you turning that antenna tuner off on your transceiver? I think you need to have that turned off when you're using an external antenna tuner. Just a thought there as to whether they may conflict. But I believe you want to make sure that you're only using one or the other. AA0JK.
AA0JK, KE0NRE. Yes, I am turning the internal antenna tuner on my transceiver off when I use the external one. So they're not fighting each other. It's just that when I turn the internal one off, the internal S meter on the transceiver is still functional, and it's perfectly happy with an SWR very close to 1 no matter what band I'm working. Back to net, KE0NRE.
All right, KE0NRE. This is Drone, K1 DBC Net Control. Thanks again for the follow-up on that. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we can't necessarily just trust what we're seeing there, and there might be some other things going on in the background that's being calculated. So KE0SUM, Jonathan, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'd like to comment if you're resident on, well, I'm resident on 20 and 40 with the antenna and bed long wire here at the house, but when I want to go out of band, yes, the radios I have great internal tuners, and I do have the 891 on external and that'll tune it. So yes, you're going to lose power, but you also you're not going to damage your radio. You're just not going to get out as well. There's no real remedy, and I think Fred taught me some time ago. I don't chase SWR. I was out at a park today playing with a number of verticals, my Woofer recoil and my Chameleon, and boy, when I hit 1.2, even 1.4 to 1, I'm happy as a clam. So, yeah, it's nice because you're radiating more power, but you can't chase it. KE0SUM.
W0FFC again.
All right. Yeah, thanks there for the follow-up on there at SUM as well. We had a check-in online, KF0FPI. Yeah, W0FFC, Jerry, go right ahead.
What would we do without the internet? Anyway, so I'm looking on the internet, and the question I ask is power loss of various SWR readings and residual power. And the first chart I was from a company called Firestick, and it shows that with a 4-to-1 SWR reading, you have a 36% loss of power. So your effective radiated power is 64% of whatever you're putting into it.
KE0SUM, I will comment, since I do QRP, that's when I want a very low SWR. I'm usually doing 10 watts. And that's significant if I'm losing 33% of my power.
36, but who's counting?
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. The mathematicians and the scientists are counting. Thankfully, we have people who are smarter than I, at least. I know all of you are quite adept about speaking about this stuff. So definitely love hearing about all this stuff. We've been talking about this for quite a while now, but yeah, looking at a formula right now, power in watts times SW, a whole lot of stuff here is lost in power watts here. So a formula for that. This is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, FFC, JK, SUM. Anyone else on that topic of conversation, please call now.
W0FFC, I was intrigued by your comment about a stub. Do you want to talk further about a stub possibly reducing SWR?
This is K1DBC Net Control. I didn't catch who was talking about that on this net. If somebody was talking about a stub and reducing a SWR, go right ahead.
This is Jerry, W0FFC. I thought I'd heard somebody comment about a stub. I know that stubs can be used, particularly in open feed lines, for matching purposes, but it's been a long time since I've thought about it. Anybody have any comments?
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I didn't mention it this time, but I know we were talking about something in terms of field day, but it was more about isolation, really, and not necessarily SWR. So that's the only thing I can remember. But again, anybody else, if you were talking about a stub or trying to get better SWR through something like that, go ahead. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll try to bring up what I was trying to talk about there, but we had some issues at field day with our 40-meter station. Unfortunately, a few people definitely tried to give it a pretty good effort to fix it, but we were having some issues on ourselves. So, but a completely separate issue there. So, I'll throw it out to the group. Oh, bandpass filter, I think, is what we were talking about previously, but I'm not sure if that's the exact same thing. So one more time, anybody else on topic of what we were just talking about or anything else at the moment, please call now.
I have another observation, KE0SUM. Might interest Fred.
Sure, go right ahead, KE0SUM, then as yours.
Well, part of the joy of being retired and semi-employed is I have a lot of time during the day to go out and play radio. I have too much signal noise at the house. So today I went out to a local park and set up and played, and I had plenty of time. I started out with a couple of verticals. That's what I wanted to work with, and I started playing with radials. So I put out 3 33-feet radials and started checking SWR in 20 meters, and it was really quite high. Let me reset. So then, leaving the antenna alone, I took up, easily half the length down to maybe 16 feet, and my SWR improved more. I thought, well, let's see. So then I went down to about 10 feet, and my SWR is around 1.4 to 1 on 20 meters, which I was happy with. But I've noticed on YouTube videos a lot lately, people are playing with shorter radials with more of them. So I now have built a packet of 8 10-foot radials, and I'm going to work those and see how that works. YouTube says it works good for certain bands. Obviously, length is a difference, but you might not need such long radials if you're using more shorter ones, and I just bundled them all together and clamp them down. KE0SUM.
All right, KE0SUM, Jonathan, and this is K1 DBC Net Control. Good question there. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I haven't really played around with radials myself. I know we had one at previous field day. We didn't have one this year, I don't think. But yeah, interesting things there in terms of getting shorter and shorter, increasing SWR. So yeah, AZ or JK Fred or SUM or anyone else on the radials and how they work. Go ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I have a few other things here, some questions brought up via email and things like that over the last few weeks, but I'll throw it out to the net. Any other comments, questions, check-ins? Let's take check-ins. This is Daron K1 DBC Net Control, if you've just tuned in. This is the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Great topics here so far this evening, a lot of conversation. If you'd like to check in at the moment, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please call now with your name, call sign, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
Yeah, K0 GPA, Bob, and then in Lakewood.
All right, K0 GPA. Bob, thank you so much for checking in. Appreciate that. You can check in online if you want, W0TX.org/check-in. You can always check that out. We'll be using that for future learning nets and in-person meetings to check in on site. So keep that in mind. YouTube.com/Denver Radio Club. You can watch what we're talking about. If you'd like to check in at the moment over the air, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please check in now with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
KR0TEA, just listening in, new member.
Yeah, K0 GPA, I don't know if you got me or not. Kilo Zero Golf Papa Alpha, something happened to my audio. K0 GPA Lakewood.
No problem. K0GPA. I got you checked in that first time, and I got you that time. Not a problem. Hopefully you're hearing me. K0GPA Bob got you checked in. And then KR0TEA, new member. Awesome to see you here. And I think I had seen your call sign in the round table. Yep, Terry, got you checked in as well. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you as a new member. And if you ever have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to chime in. So awesome. This is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Anyone else at the moment, if you'd like to check in, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Few things to kind of quickly go over before I jump into any other further questions or comments. But our website, W0TX.org, a lot of updates here recently. Going forward, our roundtable is going to be in a little bit. It's not going to be in a PDF format. You can convert it to PDF, but natively it will be kind of just a blog post, just kind of a regular news online thing nowadays. So you can check out our July edition. A lot of stuff in there. New members, things we've discussed in the Learning Nets. A lot of cool stuff there. A lot of new pages. We have a nets page about our specific club nets. This net, our Wakely net, the 6-meter invitational net. We have an About Us page now. Probably stuff you've seen before, but for new folks, kind of just highlights what we do and activities, things like that. Our trading post, if you want to post things online, you can do that yourself now. You can manage your own posts, buy or sell things online. A lot of stuff. Everything's been kind of updated now. If you run into any problems, don't hesitate to let me know. Call sign at W0TX.org or website admin at W0TX.org. So a lot of cool stuff there. Again, I mentioned there was some emails that had come in, so I can pass those, but I'll ask for any other comments or questions at the moment. Otherwise, I'll pass a couple of questions we've had. Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. To contact us, always, Elmer at W0TX.org. We'd love to have you in there. Let's see. We had a question via email. AD0OIO had asked about, it mentioned that Excel was going to be installing a smart meter at their home in the next 30 days, and they were asking about HF interference. We did a little bit of research into it and found that these are using the ISM bands, industrial, scientific, and medical bands, so 900 megahertz, 2.4, your Wi-Fi's. So they are not within the amateur bands, but if you have a software-defined radio, you can always check into that. So that was a question we had there. Let me drop here for a moment. This is K1DBC Net Control. If you had visit us in person in Field Day, you may have met Ed, KB0PVB. He had sent in a question asking about satellites, and he's wondering about trying to make some satellite contacts. So if anybody in the club has experience making satellite contacts, please get in contact with him. His email is on his QRZ, eddeering19911 at gmail.com. His phone number is also posted. He posted an ad on our website, so his phone number is also listed on there. So if you've done any operations with satellites, there are members that are wanting to know and get into that. So Ed Deering, KB0PVB, try to get in contact with him.
W0TX repeater.
JK.
Yeah, A0JK. Fred, go ahead.
AA0JK, K7AGE has got some excellent videos on setting up and operating satellite contacts. He shows how to put the antenna all together, how to operate it, and how to hold a QSO with the satellites. So you might want to check on that. Very, very excellent videos. AA0JK.
W0FFC.
All right, good. I'll have to follow up with him here. Yeah, Randy K7AGE has a lot of stuff, so I'll try to follow up on that. Yeah, W0FFC, go ahead.
I've also been attending Parker Radio Club meetings, and I know that there's one of the members in the Parker Radio Association who has done a bunch of satellite communications and has also communicated with the space station. I don't know who that person is, but if you check out the Parker Radio Association website, you maybe ask a question and find that person for you.
Comment, S.t.e.m.
All right, thanks there for the follow-up, FFC, W0FFC, in terms of the Parker Radio Group. Yeah. K0, S.t.e.m, go right ahead.
Well, it's interesting because you really only need a handheld directional Yagi and a duplexer because you need the up-down signal. But yeah, you'd think you can be a technician and just do it with a handheld.
This is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, sometimes the thing you'll see, the image is a Yagi antenna built out of a tape measure. You'll often see that kind of a photo with satellite contacts and an HT. You know, line of sight is line of sight, even if it's up to the International Space Station or to different satellites or whatever. So you don't need a huge contesting station. So yeah, don't ever limit yourself and think that you need some large operations in order to make contacts with satellites, because it's actually not that difficult. So great information there. Yeah, it looks like on Parker Radio's website they have quite a few posts in terms of satellite operations. So it sounds like, yeah, there's somebody there that's following up on that. So awesome follow-up, everyone. FFC, S.t.e.m, JK, everyone on that. Thanks for following up on that, and I'll see if I can follow up with you soon. A member here soon. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. That same person actually made another comment here on our YouTube asking about grounding antenna towers. I may have to come back to that here next week. So I'll come back to that one because I have one more piece of news. Let's see here. If you... this is K1DBC Net Control. Another part of our club that we have here is a Discord server on social media, Discord. If you've used that, it's often used by video gamers, but it's kind of like a Skype platform. You can go and talk and whatnot. So someone on there has actually posted a question about antenna towers and dismantling it. Let me see here. This was Warren KD5 YPH is asking about... a potential house for sale, asking about some older antennas and towers that they're trying to remove, probably just for the cost of removing it. So he's trying to figure out what goes into that. I know we've had some club members in the past potentially help with that. So Warren, KD5YPH, check him out on his QRZ, Warren at Warren Volz, VOLZ, or on our Discord. So if anybody has an experience, we'd love to see any assistance with that and some potential media coming from that. So check that out on Discord or on his QRZ, KD5YPH. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. The last piece of information I have here is if you're an ARL member, and if you sign up for the different sections on the ARL website, I think, you would have received an email from our new section manager, K1DDN, Amanda Alden of Southern Colorado. I can't remember exactly the city, but I knew that she had been appointed to something here recently, so that's awesome to see. So a new section manager here for Intermountain. I can't remember the region exactly, but K1DDN. She now sent an email out about a new section emergency coordinator. James Sisik, KI0KN, is their new section emergency coordinator. So arl.org, and you can check out a lot of the section information. I believe we also have a website. I'll see if I can try to bring that up. So a lot of stuff here this evening. I'll throw it out to the group. We normally end about a few minutes here, but it's not a hard stop. So if anybody has any further comments, questions, check-ins, anything we've spoken about, anything else you'd like to bring up for this evening's net, please call now.
WD0CIB, WD0CIB.
All right, WD0CIV. Charles got you checked in. If you have anything, go ahead.
Yeah, just a short question, and be for you probably would know or not know. Well, I don't know. I was learning or thinking about learning a new language, not Spanish or French, but programming language. Python, I got working fine. Let's see, what was the other one? PowerShell for Microsoft, that's working good. Linux used to be free back in 80s and 90s, and now it looks like when you try to install Linux, I must have missed a step, the step where you pay somebody, because when you're on the command line and you're typing in on the program to say print or do anything, you type in English letters like 3 W's in a row, and it echoes back 3 6s. So I have no idea what's going on there. But anyway, just thought you probably have played with this back in the day. You know, after DOS, of course. But anyway, this is WD0CIV. Just thought I'd mention that. And we'll talk about that later or next week, whenever. This is WD0CIV, turning it back over to Net Control.
All right, WD0CIV. Yeah, it's a whole topic on its own. Absolutely, programming languages. That's awesome to hear. Yep, a lot of what we do is software based. So yeah, Python, awesome to hear that, and PowerShell, different scripting tools there. So awesome to see that. Linux is still out there. Depending on the version of Linux you downloaded, whether it be Debian variant like Ubuntu or something like that, or there's Red Hat versions. One or the other may not be free and open source. Debian, Ubuntu type versions, everything is free. You shouldn't have to pay for anything. The command line there, though, is Bash. Bourne Shell is what it's called. But it can do Python as well. You have to... Yeah, it's a whole topic of conversation, and it's a little bit involved trying to get in and building a programming environment within that. So let me see what I can dig up, because I'm guessing nowadays it's probably should be a lot easier to go to a website, click on a few things, and then you're probably off and ready to go. So let me see what I can find, because yeah, excited to hear that. So I'll see what I can find. But yeah, Python you can run on Windows or Linux. A lot of these C++, C# you can run on Windows or Linux, and that runs on Arduino, things like that. So and Python runs on Arduino and Raspberry Pi, all sorts of stuff here. So yeah, I'll have to dig up some things, and we'll see if we can come back here next week on that and do a little bit of a more deep dive on that. So good question there, CIV.
Comments?
Yeah, easier, JK. Fred, go ahead.
Back to the satellite tracking, I heard the comment about tape measure antenna, negative. Don't try that. When you're tracking the satellites, you have to compensate for Doppler effect, and so consequently you have to have an appropriate antenna. You can take a look at the Arrow antennas, and they've got an excellent antenna there for tracking the satellites and compensating for the Doppler effect. And like I mentioned before, Randy's videos shows you how to do that. So good luck, and that's a lot of fun. AA0JK, back to net control.
Comment, S.t.e.m.
All right, thanks there, Fred. AA0JK. Yeah, you can always buy things and get things actually, a product that's actually built. But just kind of, I was just saying it anecdotally, just as a hobby of experimenters and experimentation, that's the minimum you can do. You can get away with doing that probably. It'll be a lot of effort, but you could do it maybe. S.t.e.m, K0SUM, go ahead.
No, Fred got a good eye. Just I noticed it also. Yeah, the tape measure won't work. You need something with dual elements, VHF, UHF, because of the up and down link.
All right, sounds good. K0SUM, appreciate the follow-up there. All right. I don't know if I have much else for this evening, but I'll throw it out to the group. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for this evening's net? Please call now.
This is WD0CIV.
Yeah, WD0CIV, go ahead.
Yeah, best antenna for satellite as well as the Space Lab and all that stuff. Go dual band, 440, 2 meter, and circular polarized antenna, and make your own. There's not that they're not that hard, but it might be pretty long to hold on to. But anyway, that's the best antenna to use. This is WD0CIB, back to net control.
Comment.
All right, this is a K1DBC net control. Yep, as mentioned here quite a few times. Yep, this Aero dual band antenna. Yep, AA0JK, Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to make your own, go to Make Magazine's article on catching satellites on ham radio. Diana Ng, KC2UHB, has some excellent ham radio articles, and here on this one, Catch Satellites on Ham Radio, she has a homebrew satellite antenna that she fabricated. She's got the plans for it and how to use it. So look her up on Make Magazine. Catch Satellites on Ham Radio. Excellent article. AA0JK.
Thanks, Fred. I'll give it a try.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, good information there, Fred. All right, anyone else at the moment? Otherwise, I might pass one more thing, but we'll probably close things out here in a few minutes. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for this evening's net? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Couple of things on the website, things about the club. Upcoming event, Hamfest, W0TX.org/Hamfest. You can pre-purchase your tickets online now. You do not need to be a vendor, but if you're a vendor, you can also purchase a table. So go ahead and purchase your tickets online if you want. You can also do that at the door. Field Day, there's some updates on that, some additional stats. I've gone ahead and submitted our stats to ARL. Total contacts 620, which is awesome to see. Total DX miles, not counting the USA, was 61,000 miles. Average miles per DX QSO was 2,300 miles. So you can see our total contacts here by band and by country. So awesome stuff to see there, as well as you can check out our Google Drive, Twitter, and Facebook, and see some photos and videos from there. And I'm still compiling an overall video. I also updated our DMR Brandmeister website, our page, w0tx.org/DMR. You can now see it has the embedded page of the Brandmeister page, which has a lot of cool embedded information, really cool stats and who last called, and a lot of cool stuff there. So you can check that out, and you can listen to it online. What else? If there's anything else on here. Yep, all of our forms are updated, whether you want to join as a new member or renew online. Those forms are updated, so you shouldn't really be seeing anything on here that resembled what our old website was. So it should be a little bit newer and hopefully a little bit easier to use. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Always keep your emails coming in. Elmer@w0tx.org. I'll throw it out. This will be the final call. Any other last-minute comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
W0FFC with a question.
W0FFC, go ahead.
Is anybody in the club you know is using remote ham radio, the ability to transmit using the remote ham radio equipment?
This is K1 DBC Net Control. There are a couple of options out there. I don't know which one you were looking at in particular, but remotehams.com is what I use to kind of overlay some things on my YouTube here. But I do, but I don't have it streaming out to the web. But remotehams.com, if you download the RC4 client, you can go ahead and log into a whole sort of radios and operate from there, which is pretty cool. So I don't think here in the Denver Radio Club definitely doesn't. There might be other peoples in the Denver area that do. You can sort by state here. Oh, that Colorado. Not seeing any in Colorado here. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. RemoteHams.com. There's some other options. I don't know if there's one you were specifically talking about, but I don't believe so. I say that, and I think there was a club. I'll have to drop, but if you have any follow-up on that, go ahead.
So you can belong to remotehamradio.com. It's $99 a year, and you have access to a whole series of transmitters depending on how much power you want to use, but there's a bunch of, they have all flex equipment. They're located all over the United States and with really interesting antenna arrays, and they charge anywhere from 9 to, 28 cents a minute for operating, but for anybody who is an HOA and wants to operate with some really particularly great equipment, that's one way of doing it. I just signed up for it. I just wondered if anybody else had signed up for it that you know. So it's remotehamradio.com.
W0TX repeater.
Good follow-up there. I think we've talked about this site in the past. Pretty interesting concept. Pay a little bit of a price, but be able to work quite large stations. So if you're in an HOA or even not, this gives you an opportunity to work some pretty large stations around the world and whatnot. So pretty good pricing. So remotehamradio.com. Good question. Yeah, I know we've spoken about it in the past. So yeah, I'll throw it out. Has anybody used that here recently? remotehamradio.com. Please call now. All right. Yeah, good follow-up there. Again, remotehamradio.com. We've always talked about covenant control or HOAs, so there's plenty of options out there for you, even in those situations. You have no excuse not to get on the air if you're licensed. So thanks for that, Jerry. Anyone else? Any other last minute? This will be the last call. Any last minute comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
November 1, Zulu, Tango, Tango, with late check-in, Dan in Denver, no traffic.
All right, and that time we had November 1, Zulu, Tango, Tango, N1 ZTT. Dan, thanks for checking in. All right, again, appreciate everyone being here this evening. Check-in or not, listening or participating, however it may be, we always appreciate everyone out there. So, yeah, we had a great conversation here this evening. If you missed it, or if you want to follow back on it, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. We had live streamed this here this evening, so you can go back and listen to any questions and make any comments in the comment section there if you want. So, enough waffling on here. I'll get back to the script, and we'll close things out here. All right, Elmer at W0TX.org. That's the email to get in contact with us. Again, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club, Facebook, Twitter, Denver Radio Club. Keep your comments, questions, check-ins coming in there. We'd love to see any more participation as net controls. We'd love to have that. If you want to participate, please let us know. Our club meeting is on our next meeting, July 20th. It's going to be on the topic of, drop here for a second. Efficient magnetic loop antennas presented by John, W6NBC. So he's presented quite a few meetings to us, so we're happy to see him back. So July 20th, W0TX.org. It takes place over on meets.hangout, but it's also broadcast on YouTube, the same YouTube channel we've been talking about. But a lot of the chatter happens in the Google Meet, so check that out. Let's see. With that, definitely appreciate everyone being here this evening. And yeah, I don't have much more. So with that, please join us next week, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, for the next Learning Net. I'm going to go ahead and place the repeaters into normal mode.
PL on.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control, 7-3 to all. I am clear. Glad to hear everyone out there, and we'll see you all soon. Have a good evening. All right, again, everyone, thanks here for
KE0 GPA, KE0 SUM.
And we'll close things out, so appreciate that. And let's see. Let me just play a quick outro piece of music, and we'll go from there. So you all have a good one. Let's see. Maybe.
NBC Television.
All right, everyone. Have a good evening.